the Hornets, which is good for the guys, but for others,
The iron unkind.
Ike Austin had his troubles. Nick Anderson wasn't much better, and Philly's Jimmy Jackson scored only 5 points. So that's going to do it for us. He's David Aldridge. I'm Jason Jackson. Next show coming at you on Thursday at midnight Eastern Time. Bye. See you.
From the worldwide leader in sports, this is the ESPN News Network.
And welcome to the ESPN News Network. My name is Chuck Garfien. Thanks for tuning in. Earlier today, we showed you the Broncos from La Jolla, California, as their press conferences continued today. Now we go back to San Diego, where the Packers are about to speak, and Mike Golick and Mark Malone join us. Guys, take it away.
All right, thanks, Chuck. Just about 7 minutes away from that Denver Bronco press conference we saw earlier. Of course, you mentioned Mike Golick. He joins me. We're here at the Sheraton Grand Hotel in Torrey Pines, La Jolla, California. This is a place we've become familiar with. We're here just about every day now. It's part of the distractions that come with Super Bowl week. Now, the Green Bay Packers, Mike, have been here just as recently as last year. Are they handling this thing any better than the Denver Broncos?
Well, I think right now, as you well know, when you hit Wednesday of the week of a game, and the Packers were here last year, so they know how to do it, but players are creatures of habit and routine, and right now you're into Wednesday. Wednesday is a hard day. Thursday is a hard day. Friday you start to back off. Saturday's a walkthrough. Sunday a play. Players are used to this, and now today the immediate family comes in, so the going out and hanging out is kind of over. They'll hang out with their wives and their parents, just do the dinner thing. So I think all the players on both teams are very comfortable now. They're in that Wednesday through Sunday routine.
I think they're also comfortable because this is the last day that the players will have to meet the media. After that, of course, Shanahan and Holmgren, along with the commissioner, will meet the media tomorrow. Sal Paolantonio also joins us in this coverage. Let's send it out to him in the tent just next door. Sal?
Mark, Mike Holmgren is apparently on his way, and almost certainly he'll have to answer questions about whether he is interested in leaving the Packers to go to be the general manager and head coach of the Seattle Seahawks if that job does open up. Yesterday, of course, he addressed it to some extent and actually left the door open. This is reminiscent, of course, last year when his opposite number in the Super Bowl, Bill Parcells, was peppered with questions throughout the week about whether he was leaving Bob Kraft and the New England Patriots to go perhaps to the New York Jets, and of course he wound up with the New York Jets. So that's a distraction that Mike Holmgren's had to deal with the last couple of days, and we'll see how he reacts to that, Mark.
Well, Sal, when you talk about Mike Holmgren's reaction to all of this, the other day it was reported that he actually got on his Harley Davidson and took a ride up the Pacific Coast Highway. It seems as though he's a guy that's very comfortable in this venue. He's been here, as we said, just as early as last year. How's he doing? When we talk about all the distractions that go about and come with this game, do you have a sense as how he's handling this thing?
Mike is really the consummate professional, as you know, but he's got two different sides. You see him as warm and fuzzy, kind of a teddy bear, big, burly kind of a guy, you know, Uncle Walrus kind of a guy. But then deep down inside, he's a true competitor and very, 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 very secure in his job and knows what he has to do in this game. So I think there's two sides to it, and we'll see. I think today he may be asked a few questions too many about this issue in Seattle and whether he wants to leave the Packers or whether Ron Wolf, perhaps the general manager of the Packers, will leave and leave him as a GM here, and how he reacts to that today will be interesting.
It certainly will be interesting. Of course, Ron Wolf, I think, was quoted as early as last night as saying that he probably would not be up for the general managership job for the Seattle Seahawks. When you look at Holmgren, there was a nice piece written on him very recently here in San Diego talking about his interview time with the Green Bay Packers the first time he met with Ron Wolf. And let's remember that he took over this team in 1992. That team the year before was 4-12. Since then, they have not had a losing season in 6 seasons. They've gone to the playoffs now 5 straight years. He said that as he walked into the lobby for his interview, he saw all the great teams and wanted to be a part of that in Green Bay. It's certainly a guy that likes a challenge. Well, we'll be back with Mike Holmgren and his comments from the podium right after this on ESPN News.
Before releasing NFL Game Day 98, we asked Robert Brooks to check it out.
This is good.
Do you like the graphics?
The graphics are tight.
Go to the house, baby. To the house.
Yeah, we like that, yes?
Touchdown!
All the way.
Come on, man. Hey, that don't show my breakaway speed.
Well, our numbers say that you lost a step.
What? It's the numbers.
PlayStation.
Due to inclement weather, the roads leading to the academy have been closed.
It's a new one-touch four-wheel drive.
Arrangements have been made for you to stay on in the dormitories.
It's a new 215-horsepower engine.
Unfortunate news for everyone. Except for you, Mr. Fitzsimmons.
It's the all-new SLX from Acura. The true definition of luxury. Yours.
Welcome back to La Jolla, California, the Sheridan Grand and Torrey Pines side of the Green Bay Packers press conference. Mike Holmgren is actually, I understand, just arriving here to the media tent. He will be the first one to address the media today. Of course, he, along with Mike Shanahan and the commissioner, will address the media for the final time tomorrow in a press conference. This is the last day that the players will have to suffer through the incessant questions and rarely intelligent questions here in what we call Media Day, each and every day here on ESPN News. Mike Holmgren, I'm told, is approaching the podium. So right now, let's go to the other tent and listen to his comments.
Good. Well, I think Dorsey said that. First of all, we'd like to have both of them on the football team. You know, we have made that clear to both players. They're both outstanding young men and outstanding football players. As I've said earlier, if Edgar had not been hurt this year, they both would have played, they both would have done well. I suspect we'd still have gotten here. And but the realities of the situation are that they're both fine running backs. They're both free agents. And we just have to see where that takes us. We're going to try real hard to keep them both. But you know as well as I do, that's difficult.
Mike, was there a game or games or meeting or some point in Brett Favre's career where he went from pretty good quarterback that was maybe had a little too many wild hairs to successful quarterback in your eyes, a turning point in his career that marked his quick ascent to MVP in the NFL?
I think it happened, yeah, specifically I think it happened about the fourth or fifth game his third year. If you remember his second year, we went to the playoffs and won a playoff game for the first time in a long time his second year, but he threw 25 interceptions that year. And in the off season, he and I sat down, and really I feel the third year for a quarterback who has a chance to play, that's the year where he should really let you know exactly what type of a player he's going to be. And so he was entering his third year. We still had Mark Brunell at the time and Ty Detmer. So my discussion with Brett was that we got to eliminate the interceptions and the decision-making problems here, and we should do this through a maturing process, an experience process. I said, if we're having one of those games now where things are going a little bit crazy, I'm going to bring Mark into the game, settle you down a little bit. We're not going to have a quarterback controversy, you know, and that's how we approached it going into his third year. Well, he, I believed, felt that, and so I didn't help him much by saying that to him, although in the long run, maybe I did. But at the time, he was a little off balance, and then about the fifth game, I called him in and said, look, you're the quarterback. You and I are joined at the hip, and that's saying. And then really after that time, if you look back, he has had a remarkable run. And it seemed to just settle him down. I suppose he needed me to say that to him, even though I thought I'd probably said it to him before. But, you know, more is made of our relationship in a negative way than really is there. Right now, I have not had more fun working with a quarterback ever. I mean, he's really tops.
Was that the mountaintop suite?
Yeah. And I said we're either going to be the top of the mountain together or going to wind up in the dumpster. But we'll be together. So let's make this thing work. And you know, it makes for a good story because he has just been remarkable. I mean, as a player since that time.
Mike, was there a similar hump for you
hump experience for you that got you to the point where you said, yeah, I'm going to really be able to do this as an NFL head coach?
Well, I don't think it was as dramatic, Mark. I think my first year, I must admit, I stood on the sidelines. We had lost to, in the opening game, we had lost to Minnesota in a close game, but lost to them. And then the second game, we were playing, I believe we were playing Cincinnati, or we played Tampa, lost to them. Then we came back home, played Cincinnati, and I'm thinking on the sidelines, I remember this, I said, and we got behind early in that game, I said, shoot, I might never win a game as an NFL head coach. It might be one of these short, sweet experiences. But then Brett led us back. That was his first game. He came in, led us back. But I think my growth has been more gradual, not as dramatic. I think I feel much better now in my decision making and how I approach the football team than I did my first year. But it hasn't been as dramatic, I don't think.
Mike, can you comment on what kind of impact the San Francisco 49ers organization has had on the development of both the teams that will be playing Sunday?
Well, both Mike and I worked for the 49ers. And I think at the time, both while we were there, the team was very successful. What you learn there as a young coach, I think, is organizationally, really some very good ways on how to do things. Mr. DeBartolo and that organization for a long, long time has, one, spared no expense, done everything first class. The players and come first. I mean, there's a lot of things that they do that, if given the opportunity to do it where you are, it's a good formula. And so I think, I can't speak for Mike Shanahan, but I know when I got to Green Bay and Bob Harlan and Ron have allowed me to do anything I really wanted to do if I thought it was important for the football team. So, and a lot of that philosophy I took with me.
Mike, what else can you tell us about Antonio Freeman? And is it anything you think that might jeopardize his playing status in any way?
I wouldn't think so. I don't think he's sick. He got kind of the stomach flu, stomach virus, or whatever they're calling it. And he was not able to be here this morning. I suppose there's even an outside chance he could be at practice this afternoon, from what I understand. Now, but he was pretty sick last night. So, but I expect him. He's a tough guy. I expect him to be fine for the game.
Was that a food source, do you think, or just illness?
All I know is he was sick.
Mike, with the reports swirling about the Seahawks' possible interest in you, have you felt a need to address your team in any way about it?
Not really. I find that not only being a participant in this week, but a spectator in this week, it always seems like many stories swirl around during this week and without much to them. So if I thought it was necessary to talk to them, I would. But right now, no, I haven't talked to them.
Regardless of what does happen in the last 10 or so years with Bill Walsh and Bill Parcells and Jimmy Johnson, for whatever reason, Super Bowl coaches leave their teams very shortly after winning Super Bowls. Does that trend disturb you at all, or do you have any feelings about that one way or the other?
I never thought about it much. I didn't realize that was true. I think every coach is unique. Every situation is unique. Some people get opportunities and because of the Super Bowl, but I haven't. Like I said, I haven't given this a whole lot of thought, to be honest.
You have to have a great quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
I've always felt you did. I think you have to have a great quarterback to get here. So, historically, I'm trying to think of a situation where it didn't work that way. I'd be hard pressed. There are great quarterbacks, and there are good quarterbacks, and there are young quarterbacks. There's all sorts of words you could put in front of the word quarterback. That I know this, that there are 2 great quarterbacks in this game. And so it should be pretty interesting.
Why do you think there are so few upsets in this game?
You know, I was asked that question the other day, and you know, I didn't have a good answer at the time, and I'm not sure I have a good answer now, other than you know, the teams, everyone gets to watch the teams for the whole season. And usually upsets, in my opinion, in this league are created by a couple of 3 things. One, you have an injury to a key player during a game where you lose your quarterback, and all of a sudden your whole game changes. So injury is a problem. You get upset during the regular season because of emotion. For one reason, the team is not as emotionally high or as intense as they would be for another game. That happens. You fight that, and you hope it doesn't happen too much, but it's a factor. And there are a couple other things like that. But then when you approach this game, everyone's intense. The emotional factor doesn't enter into it. Usually the injury factor, most teams are relatively healthy for this game. And so you get the team playing the way they played during the season. And people look at that and set it up the way they set it up.
Mike, you worked closely with Ron Wolf. You've documented the fact that they've worked very well with you, and you've liked the working relationship that you've had. Looking past this game, you've talked about the challenge of a general manager possibly coaching the future. What is it about that challenge for you that makes that something you want to do?
Well, I think as a coach or anyone, as a writer, as a businessman, you're always pushing yourself to do more and look for new challenges, new mountains to climb. And in our business, that would be a new challenge. You know, as I've said, in 6 years, I've learned a great deal from Ron. I've had the best teacher in football, in my opinion. Now, honestly, that's not to say that anything would happen now or next year or the year after that. I have never said that. I've said at some point before I'm all done, I would like to see if I could do that, and the challenge does appeal to me.
Mike, before you left Green Bay, you said that you wouldn't make too many changes once you got here. How's practice has been going for you this week, and have you been able to follow that initial game plan?
Practices have been going well, and the team practiced very well yesterday. We have been able to, and we will continue to do for the next 2 days, stick little wrinkles in, keep their interest up, you know, surprise plays, those types of things, and players like that. But we've been able to set the schedule, stay with the schedule, and I like the progress we're making.
Last question. Mike, how come defenses have not really caught up with the West Coast offense, and what kind of changes and wrinkles have you put in since you came over from the 49ers?
Well, I'm not sure. You know, it's very cyclical in the league, as you know. If you go back and think about Buddy Ryan's defense and that Bear defense, you know, in '85, and then offensive teams were forced to deal with that. So you go through some years of trying to develop a plan for that, and then you can attack that defense, and then all of a sudden the defensive guys switch, and then the offensive guys. It kind of goes like that. I think I know we have a good system. I know the system is quarterback friendly, but it puts a tremendous amount of burden on the quarterback. You had better have a good quarterback because if you don't, this system's like any other system. It doesn't function very well. Quarterback has a lot to do with it. And that's all I think. I think people will, you know, hopefully we can continue to be effective within the system because we believe in it. And then you're always counterpunching. Now the defenses do something, you see that, and as an offensive system, you react to that. So the quote-unquote West Coast offense of 6 years ago, 10 years ago, whenever that phrase first came in, I suspect it's quite different from what you see on the field today. Okay, thank you.
So the comments of head coach Mike Holmgren of the Green Bay Packers. Just to recap, the big news here today, obviously, first of all, Antonio Freeman, the wide receiver, will not be here at the press conference. He's suffering from a stomach virus. Mike says, however, that he, in fact, may be able to practice as early as this afternoon. We expect Leroy Butler to come up to the podium, as well as a lot of other players here from the Green Bay Packers. We'll come back with those comments from La Jolla, California, right after this.
You know what it's like to feel power?
I do. I have the power.
I am Eric Bischoff. I'm building the greatest empire.
And I'm looking for more souls to buy.
Hell hath no fury like sold out.
Hungry? Why wait? It's Snickers sold out. Saturday, January 24th, live and only on pay-per-view.
Catch all the action on Cablevision pay-per-view.
Welcome to Matrix Marketing. As a part of the Matrix team, you're a part of a dynamic and growing industry. It's a business that knows how to connect with people. And at Matrix Marketing, your path is clearly defined. Post-secondary students can earn up to $1,600 yearly towards tuition assistance. High school students can earn up to $900 yearly in student incentives, plus full-time pay at $7.50 an hour and part-time pay at $7 an hour. We also provide paid training and advancement opportunities. There's no limit to how successful you can be at Matrix Marketing.
So, Netboy, this ESPN Gamecast thing is really cool. How's it work?
Well, Mr. Bodine, you just point and click and you get live game data presented in a graphical interface. What I do is I take real-time stats event data, FTP it via TCP/IP, parse using proprietary ESPN software, and I push it on the net to Java-enabled browsers. Okay.
California, live coverage of the Green Bay Packer News Conference on both ESPN News and ESPN2. We've heard from Mike Holmgren. Next up at the podium will be Leroy Butler, who had 1 of 5 sacks last year in Super Bowl 31 against the New England Patriots. Yes. Let's go to the podium now and listen to his comments.
Your game to play next to him.
Well, I think that what Eugene brings to any organization is a guy, like you said before, he's a leading active interceptor, and I just think his ball hawking type skills enable me to move closer to the line of scrimmage. We don't need 2 guys to stand back there and do some of the things he can do, because he covers a lot of ground. I think he surprises people how well he's played over the years, because, you know, a lot of people feel like the way he's playing this year, you know, at his 13th year, he can play another 3-4 years in this league. So it's very important, you know, that Eugene continues that, and he's very instrumental in what we get done. So that enabled me to do a lot of things I would like to do. What about it?
Confident? Are you looking
Oh,
forward?
sure. Who, me or him? Oh, sure, most definitely. Actually, it was a situation I was saying that, you know, he can win that matchup. I just want to win the game. I don't believe it. I want to win both. So it's important to me because, you know, playing against a guy that you're good friends with, it's important to have the bragging rights a little bit. So that's very high on my list, because I know if I can contain him, that we have a real good chance of winning, because he's, you know, a big part of their offense. And I like that pressure put on myself.
Leroy, this morning, Shannon was joking around and said, you know, he came in the league as Leroy Butler, now it's Leroy.
He has no right to do that. He may be right, though. But it's okay. No, he's been right where I thought he would be. Except for the one deal about he's always open and no one can cover him. I think he just looking for self-motivation, because he knows what kind of player I am. And maybe thought I was going to give him something media-wise for him to get motivated. But, I mean, I try not to play the game usually in the papers, but sometimes that's my game too. So it's going to be interesting, though, because I don't want to just get out of my whole thing of thinking just because of one guy, because I have to stop, you know, Terrell Davis, Elway, you know, Smith, McCaffrey. I have to stop everybody. So whoever I'm on, I want to do the equal amount of effectiveness. Oh, sure, no doubt. Yes.
If you're covering the run, can Eugene Robinson cover him one-on-one?
I think so. I think Eugene he's seen everything. This is his 24th time playing Elway. He's seen everything. He's seen every tight end. He's did everything. And if it comes to a situation where I have to blitz and Eugene has to cover him, he has to do it. San Francisco thought they had a mismatch, and Eugene intercepts to go 58 yards, changed the complexion of that game. So everybody's going in this game feeling like they can beat everybody, especially on their team and our team. And what's working on our side is that we've done it before. It's a big game. Everybody knows it. And we really feel like we should have played them last year because, they slipped a little bit in the playoffs. And, so this is the matchup that everybody's been looking forward to, and most definitely we are.
Does fear come into play at all in the fact that the NFC has won so many in a row? You don't want to be the slip-up team that lost that.
No question about it. I mean, not only that, ending that, streak of NFC, winning, but you don't want to be the team that Elway won on, Everybody else, Not to mention, that's a lot of pressure, You're with your kids, 10 years from now, and they were like, well, what was it, Super Bowl that Elway won? I was back in 32 when I was playing. It's kind of embarrassing. I mean, I just want to make it very hard for them to get it. So it's a lot of pressure on this game, personally and, socially, because if you see everybody around the league in the NFC, they're cheering for us, and they don't want that to happen. So we're going to do everything in our power to make sure it doesn't.
So those are the comments from strong safety Leroy Butler of the Green Bay Packers. Butler, usually a pretty gregarious guy. You can see he's already starting to get his game face on, refusing to get into a war of words with the Broncos tight end Shannon Sharp. Butler, of course, going to his third consecutive Pro Bowl. We're going to go to the other side of the ball now. The league's first ever three-time NFL MVP, Brett Favre, who threw 37 touchdowns this year, a league high. Let's listen into his comments.
Both receivers are back and are healthy now. I really believe our offensive line is better. Their blitz package is our main concern. That's what we worked on more this week. It's not much different than what we faced all year, except that now it's the final game. And it's Philadelphia, when they blitzed us every snap and got away with it, we didn't really care after it was over. We knew we could prepare the next week and get ready for it. We can't do that now, so we figured that that they'll think like we do. It's all or nothing, so they'll probably bring everyone.
Brett, is Freeman...
How you doing? What you up to this week? Well, I'd love to play a little golf, but we got to work this week.
Brett, what do you like about John Elway as a person?
Well, John's, I think I shouldn't say he's like me. I think I'm a lot like him in that we have fun with it, and you see that when you watch him play. I know when I watch John play and I'm around other people, you can't wait for his next play. You can't wait to see what he's going to do next. And then off the field, he's the same type of guy. It's that you don't know what to expect next from him. He's not a moody person. He's just a good guy to be around. And we've played a lot of golf together, and we've spent some time together doing different things. You don't get tired of him. There's sometimes you're around people, and you can't wait to get away from him. He's not that type of person.
Talk about Ross Herman's impact he's made as a rookie.
Well, Ross, I've said it a million times this year. He's not playing like a rookie, which is amazing because maybe a guard or another position on the field, you can hide a rookie a little bit better. But when you put a left tackle out there who's a rookie, he's isolated. And more than likely, your best players on defense are going to rush against him. You got 300-pound guys who are running 4.6 40s, and they're paid a lot of money to get to the passer. And we ended up with the least amount of sacks since '82, and a lot of it comes off on Ross, the way he has played. The rest of our guys are steady, good football players. They don't get talked about until they do something bad, and they obviously didn't get talked about a whole lot. But Ross made an immediate impact for us. He came in with a lot of intensity and confidence, which was unusual. Some guys are a little unsure how they'll play, how they'll stand up against a Bruce Smith, Derek Thomas, or Alfred Williams, Neil Smith, guys like that, Lonzo Spellman, guys we face this year. But he went into the game saying, don't worry, I got your backside. And whether he believed it or not, I did. And that makes a whole lot of difference. Yeah, you know, I'm having fun with it. It's an unusual week for a game week. I mean, we meet an hour a day and instead of 4 hours a day. We have normal practices, but the media attention is obviously a lot different. The weather here this late in the year for us is a lot different. If we were in Green Bay right now, we'd be inside, and obviously it'd be very cold and snowy. What can you not like about it? So I'm having a lot of fun with it. Well, I haven't played yet. I brought my clubs, and other guys I know have stepped out and played a little bit, but I would love to get out there, but my main focus, once again, is winning this football game. There'll be a lot of golf after the game. If I get a chance to get out and have a little free time, I'll do it, but the temptation is there.
Those are the comments of quarterback Brett Favre. 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions in his postseason career. Of course, he threw for 2 touchdown passes against the New England Patriots last year in Super Bowl 31. His favorite target, or at least his favorite friend, tight end Mark Chmura. He's standing by with our Sal Palantonio.
Standing here with Mark Chmura. Mark, you got the shades on. You look like you're dragging a little bit.
A little bit. We're ready to get this thing going. You know, it's been a long couple days so far, answering the same questions over and over. And I think, guys, the tension starts to mount a little bit now, you know, as the game gets a little closer.
How anxious are you to play the game?
Real anxious. You know, I've been practicing for about 10 days now. I think I've watched all the Denver film I can watch, and we're ready to play. We're ready to play, I think, mentally and physically.
You're good friends with Brett. Does he have motivation not only to win the game, but maybe to get that MVP trophy that he didn't get last year?
I think so. I think the big thing is he wants another ring, you know, and he wants to be mentioned in the same breath as the guys that have won it a bunch of times, you know. He's won the 3 MVPs, you know. The only thing he's got left is that like you said, Super Bowl MVP.
There's a lot of talk swirling around that maybe Mike Holmgren could be headed to Seattle. How important is Mike Holmgren to this organization, and would it be sad to see him go?
Oh, yeah, it'd be real sad to see him go. You know, he means everything. He's a great coach. But when you're in that situation, people want you. And just from talking to him, I think he wants to be a GM, you know, somewhere down the road. Now, if it's next year or 3 years from now, we'll just have to wait and see.
No more stupid questions, I promise.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Good luck in the game.
Thanks, Al.
Back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Sal. As we can look at right now, Eugene Robinson, the free safety of the Green Bay Packers, the NFL's active interception leader with 49. We've heard a lot about the interception or turnover ratio, 44-10, and the 13 NFC years of dominance in the Super Bowl. Let's listen in to Eugene Robinson.
You're really young. When I was 22, 23 years old, I thought I knew everything. Now I'm 34. I'm like, I absolutely knew nothing back then. No, I don't want to be a coach. That's one I don't. They watch too much film. No.
On a high school, college level, or?
No, no. I'll go ahead and say, hey, no, I don't want to be a coach at all. No.
Next to each other before, or just you moved in here after that?
No, when we both came up here, his rookie year, my first year here, we were in the same duplex.
Eugene,
Yes.
It's probably difficult to be sympathetic toward John Elway's quest when you're doing everything you can to contain his defense on Sunday. But can you relate to it more than most after the frustrating years in Seattle and finally getting the ring?
You know, my years in Seattle weren't all bad. You know, I think as a football player, you want to stamp your career. You know, I think some football players already resigned themselves. If they don't win the Super Bowl, it's cool because they had a storied career, that whole deal. They played well. However, when you have the opportunity to go to a Super Bowl, you want to make a statement because the only thing people are going to say about Kelly, Bruce Smith, John Elway, hey, they ain't won a Super Bowl, as if that's the barometer of everything they've done and the sum total of everything they've done. So it's important that you kind of get that so you can go like this. Hey, see, I did it. Now you can't say anything. What is you going to say now? Same thing with Mike Holmgren. If we didn't beat Dallas Cowboys and we didn't beat Minnesota Vikings, I don't care how many Super Bowls he won, they'll say, you know what? He never beat the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, and he didn't beat the Dallas Cowboys. That's football. You're absolutely right. He probably did. He probably won't beat them. I don't know.
Negativity in football?
I just think that whenever there's something good, there's always somebody want to bring out something bad and say that, oh, at least you should have done this. I'm like, this is a case in point. I get an interception against San Francisco. Great interception, yeah, running back 58 yards. How come you got tired? Because football is a tiring sport. You hit people day in and day out. I'm in there 70 plays a game. You know, my fingers are broken. My back hurt. My mother got sick. My dog bit my, that's football. I mean, that's football. It's not played perfectly. It's not an exact science. That's just football. It has all the human drama, and that's what makes it so good. Knowing that you're at the brink of a play and you miss it, and they scored a touchdown, they win the game. Or you make that play, and they don't win the game. That's football.
This morning we were talking to Shannon about how many years you guys have played Seattle and Denver and all that. He was saying, well, when I was at Savannah State, a real small school, no one thought I was going to go. Of course, I went there for athletics. That Eugene went to Colgate on academics.
Yeah, I did go on academic. I was on an academic scholarship to Colgate University, and I walked on when I got down there. And I thought that was cool because no one knew who I was, none of that stuff. And when I got there, I had something to prove. Yeah, I could beat these guys. So I checked their best receiver, Tom. I forget Tom's last name. And I got an interception against. They said, hey, this kid can kind of play a little bit. And I only weighed like 165 pounds. I played corner all my life. I was like, yeah, they're going to be surprised. They're going to be really surprised. And when I got to Seattle, I said the same thing. I'm going to surprise these folks. These folks think they think I'm just another guy who's just a filling guy. They're going to be pleasantly surprised when they give me an opportunity. And thank God I had the opportunity.
When you were a walk-on at Colgate, did you ever think the NFL was possible?
When I got drafted in the territorial draft in the USFL, and I went down to the USFL for about 3 days. I practiced with those guys, and I sat there, and I'm looking at Herschel Walker doing his thing, and all the guys do their thing. I'm like, I said, I can play in the NFL. All I need is an opportunity. I said, all I need, I can hit, I can run, I can cover. I said, if I get an opportunity, I can do it. Yes.
So Eugene Robinson talking a little bit here about what it's like to play a long NFL season. It's going to get a little bit longer for the Green Bay Packers. We've just learned that they will be facing the Kansas City Chiefs on August 2nd in Tokyo. That's the first time the Green Bay Packers will have played a game outside the confines of the United States. Well, when you look at this Packers defense, going back to last year's postseason, well, their run to the Super Bowl, they have not allowed 300 yards of total offense in 5 straight postseason games. A guy that bears a lot of responsibility for that is certainly their defensive coordinator, Fritz Schirmer, who is standing by with our own Mike Golick.
Fritz, you got to be happy. You're in that Wednesday, Thursday mode where you're getting into the end of the tunnel here and the distractions are get put behind you.
Yeah, it's been good though, because I really like the way we do it. We put in the bulk of the game plan last week and added some things and are adding stuff every day, and then we'll chop her down tomorrow, and then that'll be what we go with. But yeah, it's time to play here.
Have you seen a difference in how the players have been handling it from last year, first Super Bowl for a lot of players, and in New Orleans, a bit different city than San Diego, to this year, how they've handled it?
Well, I think so. I think they know what to expect more and are handling everything more on a routine basis. And as a result, I think can be more focused on the football part of it. When it's time to turn the football on, they've turned it on well.
I talked to Denver offense coordinator Gary Kubiak this morning, and there hasn't been a lot of side events here at the Super Bowl, but one of them has been your defensive scheme against his offensive scheme. And as he said, listen, we don't play the game, but still both schemes really are being analyzed a lot by people.
Well, I think that's part of it too, because there's so much analyzing done of everything, and there are so many different issues, and I think scheme becomes a little more of an issue in this kind of a game.
Is it? Going on that, is it more of a chess match, or is it a reactionary mode on the field, or are you trying to outthink him by like a couple of moves ahead?
Oh, no. I think the thing that we have always tried to do is to take the initiative defensively and have the offense have to cause the offense to have to react to you. We are not so much in a reactive mode, for example, where they put 3 wide receivers on the field. We always got to put a nickel defense on them. By the same token, we don't always have to play the same kind of base personnel against their base personnel. And what we're trying to do basically is to get the initiative. And I found out a long time ago that as much as you can defensively, you want to have to cause the offense to react to you at least as much as you have to react to them. And if you do that, then I think the field is a little more level.
Is there a matchup in their favor in the fact that Shannon Sharp, you may need a safety to cover him because he's faster than a lot of the linebackers?
Well, he does a lot of things, and he not only is a tight end, but has the skills of a wide out, so they can remove him from the formation. And you got to be very careful that, you know, you don't get so concerned with that matchup outside that you take the guys out of the run box, because that's always part of the deal, you know, spread you out and then run a football as well. So you got to pay particular attention to the detail of that. But the fact that they have Shannon, and he is such a multi-skilled guy, causes you defensively to have to pay more attention to the detail of how you're going to handle him, and then when they do remove him from the formation, how you're going to keep the run box intact.
Fritz, thanks a lot. Good luck. Mark, back up to you.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. Of course, Fritz Shurmur talking about all the difficulties he will have and his defense will have trying to defend the very balanced Denver Broncos with Terrell Davis and Shannon Sharp. A very interesting matchup. This football team, the Green Bay Packers defense, now 31 straight quarters without giving up a touchdown pass. One of the guys that will be responsible for stopping Terrell Davis will be Green Bay middle linebacker George Kuntz. He's standing by with our Sal Palantonio.
Okay, thanks, Mark. George, you missed last year's Super Bowl. Tell us what you're thinking now as you prepare to play in probably the biggest game of your life.
Well, most definitely. You know, last year was kind of bittersweet. You know, I was happy for my teammates, but I was a little upset because I couldn't participate. But this year here, my roles changed a little bit. And, you know, going to the Super Bowl is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I missed out on it last year, but we're right back here again this year, and I'm just going to go out there and just have some fun.
How's the knee doing?
It's doing pretty good. You know, seems like each week it's getting better and better. I'm just going to go out there and hopefully I can make a play in a game that can determine the outcome.
Now, Fritz Shurmur uses a lot of different looks to try to confuse the quarterback. What will you try to show John Elway? I mean, this is the guy who's seen it all.
I think so. I think, you know, playing 15 years, I don't think we can try to, you know, fool John Elway. What we're going to try to do is throw some different things out there and try to, you know, get him off rhythm a little bit. But for his different coverages and different fronts and all that, John Elway has seen all that.
You haven't given up a touchdown pass in the postseason. With that 3-3-5 set that you like to use, you were describing it before. Tell us how much you've used that in the past and how much you think you'll use it in the Super Bowl.
I think we'll use it a little bit. We like to use it in long down situations. Hopefully we can get, you know, John Elway and the Denver Broncos and third and long. We can put that defense out there and hopefully it'll work out for us. You know, it's been pretty successful. We used it in '95 against the 49ers, and we've been experimenting a little bit ever since then. So it's worked out good for us. Hopefully it'll work out good for us on Sunday.
Your wife and your son and your daughter are coming. You're going to have dinner tonight with them?
Yes, I'm going to have dinner with them. I miss them. You know, we've been here since Sunday, but I don't miss the weather in Green Bay. But I'm glad my family gets to come and I get to see them tonight after practice.
Good luck to you on Sunday.
Thanks, Sal.
Mark?
Thanks, Sal. One of the great stories here at Super Bowl 32, George Kuntz overcoming both physical and his own personal tragedies in his life to come back and play in this Super Bowl. One of the guys that they will ask to keep that Denver Bronco offensive line off of George Kuntz is that man, Gilbert Brown, the big one. Let's go into the podium now and listen to his comments.
Making sure that ball is in Brett Favre's hands and Dorsey Levin's hands and trying to keep Denver's offense off the field. That's probably going to have to be the key to this game.
The night before a game of this magnitude, do you have any trouble sleeping or do anything differently to get to sleep with so much on your mind?
Yeah, for me, it's going to be, I mean, everybody's different, but some people can sleep like a baby on the night before the game, but I can't, you know, because a lot of things going through your mind, there's a lot of stuff going around, so it's going to be kind of hard for me to get some sleep.
What happened to this defense this year? You guys were struggling quite a bit early in the season. You just seemed to be coming. Was there a point somewhere, or was it just a gradual thing where you just got back to the point where you were last year at this time?
I think it all has to go back to that week off we had, you know, where we had to reevaluate and get healthy and do certain things to get back into the swing of things. And I think that week off that Mike gave us helped us out a real lot because it gave us time to think about a lot of things that we need to do.
Was there ever any question in your mind that it would get back to this level?
We knew what we had to do. It was kind of hard coming out because, like I said, we was defending champions, so we didn't know what to expect, you know, kind of. And then, like at mid-season, we knew and we found out, you know, everybody's going to come at us hard and everybody's going to throw everything at us. So that's to the point where we have to get ready to do things like that and play hard and do what we have to do. So it was to the point where just realizing what's going on around us.
You weren't ready for how hard people would be coming at you early in the year.
No, it wasn't that. It was what we didn't expect. You know, we ain't never done this before. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't know what to expect as far as how teams would play us and how teams would do. And it was to the point where every time we get stepped on the field, everybody threw everything they had at us. And that's what we had to get ready for.
Gilbert Brown and his comments as we look at the beautiful Pacific Ocean right off of the coast here in Torrey Pines, California. We'll be back with more of the Green Bay press conference right after this.
Reggie! Did you eat your chunky soup?
How did you get down here? Ma?
Did you eat your chunky soup?
Yeah, Ma. Chunky beef with crunchy vegetables. With more beef than any other soup. Lean beef, potatoes, vegetables. Chunky always hits the spot. Where'd you get that outfit?
Can't talk, gotta go. Just want to make sure you're eating good.
That's my mom.
Oh, yeah? Which one?
Campbell's Chunky Soup.
It's loaded with beef.
The introduction of Visine revolutionized eye care. Now, there's Advanced Relief Visine. This simulation shows how its moisturizing formula spreads soothing, cooling relief. New Advanced Relief Visine. Advanced relief for irritated eyes.
Recent reports of UFO sightings in the skies of Fulton County have caused...
Car trouble, son?
Yeah, I was just on the internet and...
You get the internet on that phone?
Yeah, email, stock quotes, it's a page or two.
The Q phone, the most advanced palm-sized digital PCS phone from Qualcomm.
Weird guy. Cool phone.
So I pull into this gas station. Oh. Classic oversqueeze. Watch this. Release the hounds. Perfect pump.
2037.
Even at the gas station, you can do more with the American Express card.
The Green Bay Packer News Conference continues live on ESPN News and ESPN2 here from the Sheraton Grand Hotel in Torrey Pines, La Jolla, California. We're continuing to hear from several players from the Green Bay Packers. Next up is a guy that knows a little something about coming up with big plays in the Super Bowl. Brian Williams, the linebacker of the Green Bay Packers, had at least one interception in last year's Super Bowl, Super Bowl 31. Now let's go and listen to his comments.
Brian, first tell me the difference of last year, different atmosphere in New Orleans to this year. Are the players a little less wide-eyed this year?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, last year was our first year getting to the Super Bowl, and including myself, I mean, that was my second year, and just being around the Super Bowl, and especially down in New Orleans, and once you walk out the hotel room, everything just hits you. And I think here, with this being our second Super Bowl, and plus just the whole, you know, the whole atmosphere is a little bit more laid back, and I think the guys are a little bit more comfortable this year.
Let's talk about the game. Now, Gilbert Brown in the middle of that defensive line, I don't think Denver's really going to attempt that much, so a lot of plays are going to be bouncing outside a little bit. Does that make you have to play a little more disciplined and stay home to not give up the corner?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, whenever you play a guy like Terrell Davis, I mean, he has great vision out there. And like you said, you know, with Gilbert in the middle clogging up maybe probably two gaps. I mean, he's such a force in there. They're definitely going to try to bounce it outside, or, you know, try to get you going one way, then cut it back the other way. So, you know, we definitely got to be on our toes out there.
About Shannon Sharp, you know, you look at his speed and athleticism, you would figure Leroy Butler is one of the guys that may need to cover him. Now, is it going to fall in some linebackers' hands in certain coverages where you guys have to take him one-on-one?
I mean, you never know with Fritz. We have so many different schemes. I could be covering one time, Leroy could be covering the next, and Seth could be covering, or you know, we'll be mixing up some zones and some man coverages, but we would like to get Leroy on him, though.
All right, good luck, man. Enjoy the rest of the week.
All right.
Mark, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. From Brian Williams, we head now to the running back, Dorsey Levens, named to his first Pro Bowl in 1997.
It's televised, I think, in 187 countries. Does it sink in that this is the biggest damn thing in the world for one day?
You know, last year I thought about it a lot. I haven't thought about it at all this year until you just said it, about how many people watch the game and how big it is. I think because we were here last year, I'm a little more relaxed, but I'm not caught up in all the hype as much as I was last year. So this year is definitely more of a business approach, you know, as far as just coming here to get the job done, as opposed to, you know, just going out and doing everything, being part of the Super Bowl, you know, madness.
I'll ask you one question you've probably been asked about a dozen times, but the John Elway sentimental favorite pick thing, is that a bit overblown, you think?
No, not really. I mean, a guy to go to the Super Bowl 5 times and not win, I think some people are going to feel a little bit sorry for him, you know, in hopes that he gets his chance to win a Super Bowl. But unfortunately, none of the guys on this team feel sorry for him.
Thanks a lot, Dorsey.
You got it.
Dorsey, is there any story behind the macadamia nuts?
No, some guy just gave them to me for doing an interview.
How tough was it to get a picture of me without the cut all the way?
No, the toughest part was playing fullback initially, because I never played fullback before, and I really didn't enjoy it. So coming back to playing tailback was definitely a welcome for me.
Do you think it's neat? I mean, Terrell.
Dorsey Levens having set franchise records in rushing for the Green Bay Packers. In fact, over 1,800 yards from the line of scrimmage this year, second in the NFC. He's certainly going to get a lot of the pub and a lot of the spotlight this week as we prepare for Super Bowl 32. One of the guys that tends to get left out of all the media coverage is the kicker. But our Sal Palantonio is standing by with Ryan Longwell.
That's right, Mark. He gets left out of media coverage until he misses a kick, but that's when all the attention gets paid to the kicker. But you've had a tremendous rookie season. You were sitting home in Oregon when the draft came around and the Packers drafted the Penn State kicker, and you didn't think you were going anywhere.
Yeah, I knew Green Bay would draft a kicker, and I saw him draft Brett, and you know, I realized I wasn't going to be kicking in Green Bay, so I turned my eyes elsewhere, and it's amazing how life works out. I ended up here.
Where were you when you finally got the phone call to go to Green Bay?
Well, I was still at home in Bend. Dwight Clark had just called, and I was with the 49ers, you know, for a little while, and he had called and said, we don't need you anymore. And the Packers called the next day and said, this is whoever from the Packers, and your flight leaves in 4 hours. So I was sitting there, and I'm like, well, I better look at a map and see where Wisconsin is, because I don't even know where I'm going.
Defending Super Bowl champions need you to come in. And you had a shaky start. You missed that field goal in Philadelphia. Describe how it was for you to try to go through that and regain your confidence.
Well, you know, obviously I would have loved for that kick to go through, but from what I learned from that kick and how supportive the fans in Green Bay and the team and Brett and Coach Holmgren were for me, that really helped me bounce back really quick. And, you know, that was an important kick, but it ended up, I learned a lot from kicking in the rain there, and it helped me in San Francisco last week, kicking in the rain, and it helped me throughout the year, and I'm sure it'll help me in this game too.
What has Coach Holmgren told you about your approach to this game?
Well, you know, the biggest thing is he says don't make it bigger than it is. You know, don't try to do something you can't do. And you know, enjoy the sights and sounds of the Super Bowl, but at the same time, prepare like you would for a normal game. And when it's time to practice and do that, then you know, prepare like you normally would. And up to this point, I think I'm staying calm and ready for this game.
As a rookie kicker, do you have the confidence enough to go up to Coach Holmgren on the sideline and say, hey, I can make this, Coach, let's not punt or let's not go for it on 4th down?
No, I mean, I don't do that. I leave it up to Nolan, our special teams coach, and he knows my range, and I'll give him the nod if I think I can make it, and usually I give him the nod, and he usually makes a decision whether we kick or punt. Holmgren's a real field position guy, so he won't try as many long field goals as he will down at punts. So we go with that and make the attempts we do get.
Hopefully the weather will be good Sunday and you'll have no problems. Good luck.
Well, thank you very much. I'm sure it'll be better than San Francisco.
That's right. Okay, let's go to Mike Golick, who's standing by with Frank Winters.
All right, thanks. I'm here with Frank Winters. Well, the families arrived today. How many do you have coming?
I got my mom and dad, my brother coming in today, and it's going to be, and I have a lot of friends coming in from Cleveland. I have people coming in from New Jersey. So it's going to be a day today where, you know, you pretty much get this out of the way, you know, get in town for the last day, maybe take them out to dinner and pretty much take it easy then, you know, spend some time with the kids and stuff like that. But after that, you know, after today, we're all back to football and get ready for the game on Sunday.
Is this the part of the week where it starts to get serious? It seems like the laughing and the playing around has kind of stopped and it's kind of streamlining into the part of the game you want.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you know, I think everybody's had their fun during the week. You know, they went out, had dinner with their friends and stuff. But I think, you know, tonight and tomorrow, you know, more so this morning, we started as an offense line watching the film together early in the morning. And I think it's you know, everything else is put to the side right now. It's all, you know, business with the Denver Broncos right now. And that's why we're out here.
And about the Broncos in running the ball, now it's a smaller defensive line outside of Keith Traylor, the ends, and Ma'atanavasa in the middle. Kind of small. Does that make the technique a more power technique and just try and push them off the ball?
Well, you know, they do a lot of things. They do a lot of run stunting. And, you know, we're going to try to, you know, run between the tackles, I think. And we're definitely going to try to run the ball early. You know, we have to set up our play-action game. And I think, you know, with that, you know, doing that is, you know, being able to run the ball. And I think if we can kind of maybe wear them down later in the game and, you know, control the clock and limit our mistakes, and, you know, the outcome should be good for us.
It seems like that they are going to have to bring more people than you have to block to win this game. I don't think they can line up and just beat you guys. It seems like a lot of twisting and stunts are going to be involved with their defense.
Well, they've really picked up their stunts and blitz in the last couple of weeks. We've had 2 weeks to prepare from. So I think, you know, we'll be all right. You know, unless I'm sure they have put a couple new wrinkles in on defense to maybe change it up a little bit. But, you know, we'll make our adjustments during the game and go from there.
All right, Frank, enjoy family time.
All right.
Mark, back up to you.
Thanks, Mike. Frank Winters is one of the stalwarts, that anchor to the offensive line. Missed 3 games this year with a sprained foot, but he has started all 12 postseason games under Mike Holmgren. Of course, this 2-week stint before the Super Bowl allows a lot of players with nagging injuries to get healthy and get ready. He, of course, the guy who kind of makes all the offensive line calls and gets Dorsey Levens the yards he needs, keeps people off of Brett Favre, and certainly a lot talked about this very quick Denver Bronco defense that gets after people with a lot of run stunts and blitzes. It'll be very interesting to see how the Broncos handle the Green Bay Packers with their balance attack of being able to throw the football down the field and run the ball with Dorsey Levens. Well, we're going to have more interviews with more Green Bay players as we take a look at the beach here at Torrey Pines. Back after this.
Welcome to Matrix Marketing. As a part of the Matrix team, you're a part of a dynamic and growing industry. It's a business that knows how to connect with people. And at Matrix Marketing, your path is clearly defined. Post-secondary students can earn up to $1,600 yearly towards tuition assistance. High school students can earn up to $900 yearly in student incentives, plus full-time pay at $7.50 an hour and part-time pay at $7 an hour. We also provide paid training and advancement opportunities. There's no limit to how successful you can be at Matrix Marketing.
Once a year, and only once a year, the Men's Warehouse has a sale, and this is it. Save an additional 20 to 40% off the Men's Warehouse everyday low prices. Save on a wide variety of selected suits, sport coats, slacks, shirts, ties, and shoes. Save on a giant assortment of single and double-breasted suits and sport coats. It takes a Men's Warehouse sale to beat a Men's Warehouse price. I guarantee it.
Man, this gray hair makes me look old.
Then do what I did. Get rid of it.
You were gray? I never knew that.
No one can tell you use the remarkable hair coloring called Just for Men. Simply shampoo in, then rinse. In only 5 minutes, this unique Just for Men formula blends away the gray, actually matches your gray to your real color.
Even I can't tell what used to be gray. Thanks.
Just for Men. Looks so natural, even friends can't tell.
Planner's nuts! Deluxe mix nuts.
Actually, Coochie, perhaps we shouldn't. We have to watch what we eat.
All this good stuff and no cholesterol?
I got the cashews, Coochie.
Fresh roasted taste, naturally delicious. Planters, relax, go nuts.
Welcome back to continuing live coverage of the Green Bay Packer press conference. Right now, let's go to Sal Palantonio, who's standing by with Travis Jervin.
Travis Jervin, of course, made the Pro Bowl as a special teams player, but you're out surfing, I hear? What's this?
Yeah, we went, it's been about 2 days. Actually, it's a little bit too big for me. I got worked yesterday, but no, actually 2 days ago I got worked, but yesterday I had a good time, and the waves have been really big, and it's been fun. It's been a fun week so far.
What beach did you go to?
We went to Black's Beach.
Wait a minute, that's the nude beach.
Yeah, some of the guys went down to watch me yesterday, Dorsey Levens, and he was like, hold up, Travis, where are you taking us to? There's this guy walking stark naked with his bicycle. So it's been an interesting week so far.
This is not the image they want in Green Bay and Midwest, you know.
Nah, they were kind of concerned where I was taking them, but the waves were perfect there, and it was a good break.
Does Mike Holmgren know you're out on the waves?
Nah, we're trying not to tell him. I don't want him to, he's got enough pressure.
He knows now.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be any more stressful. So we're not going to talk about it.
How important is the return game in this game?
It's going to be huge. The whole special teams is going to play, a big role, I feel. And, Gordon, their return man, is incredible. I think that he's probably one of the second best we've faced, except for Bates, and he's going to be a tough one for us to stop.
Good luck on Sunday.
I appreciate it.
Back to you, Mark.
All right, thank you very much, Sal. It's obviously continuing coverage of the Green Bay Packer news conference here, both on ESPN News and ESPN2. For those of you on the Deuce, stand by for Super Bowl 21. It's the Broncos and the Giants. We'll continue on ESPN News.
ESPN News Network.
And welcome to the ESPN News Network, and a special welcome to those of you on the Deuce. My name is Chuck Garfine, and the story of the day right now in the NFL, what do you think? Super Bowl 32. Mike Tirico and company are in La Jolla, California, as the Packers are ready to address the media. Mike, take it away.
Chuck, thanks. Good afternoon. With Mike Golick. He played. I didn't. That's the size difference, but we did get the memo on the wardrobe here. Packers going to address the media. We'll hear from Mike Holmgren, Brett Favre. Then all the players will be available, and we'll talk with them. Sal Paolantonio is in the room where Mike Holmgren will be addressing the media. Sal.
Well, we're standing by waiting for Mike Holmgren to come in the next couple of minutes. Yesterday, he said that he took a ride on his Harley Davidson up the PCH, the Pacific Coast Highway, to kind of relax. So I think he's probably in the mood to get things rolling here. Packers, of course, practiced on Tuesday. Broncos did not. Mike saw business going for his second straight Super Bowl title. And I think that this is a team that's ready to play, and he's certainly ready to play. Let's go back, Mike.
And Sal, let me bring in Mike Golick. As you talked to both teams yesterday and the Broncos today, this has not been a big news week so far. It's as those guys would have scripted. For teams that like to script their plays going in, they've scripted the week so far pretty well.
No, there has been. The biggest news right now is that Denver took the day off on Tuesday. You know, that's a normal thing, and Mike Holmgren practice. It does seem he is a lot more business-like here, and Denver is just saying, we're going to stay pat. We're going to do what we did all year. I think it has absolutely no effect to the game. But there's so many other things. You know, you have the coaching changes going on around the NFL, and I think that really is kind of taking some of the news away from the Super Bowl. No huge stories yet.
And over the last few years, and you kind of say this a little tongue-in-cheek, but a little honestly, without the Buffalo Bills at the Super Bowl week has become quiet. It really, the Bills went out, had fun, and drew attention to themselves. These players are keeping a lower profile. I haven't been out, but I've been told by people who've been out that they haven't seen many of the Packers and many of the Broncos, you know, really having a great old time. They've been kind of low-key, going out, enjoying the town a little bit, but nothing wild.
Well, I have been out. And
trying to save you, Mike.
So I buried myself, haven't I? No, actually, talking to a lot of them, their immediate families come in on Thursday, tomorrow. Some of the fringe family members are in, and they're doing a lot of family things. I'm talking to players that are going shopping, buying things for their wives on their own. It seems like they're trying to score brownie points at home. Guys are taking the family members, cousins to the zoo, to SeaWorld. A lot different atmosphere than in New Orleans, where obviously the atmosphere is just a bit different.
And it's all crowded in there together. We'll hear from Mike Holmgren, coach of the Packers, when we continue from California in just a moment.
Right now, I'll introduce head coach Mike Holmgren.
It's a 170 on the web.
Mike Holmgren's up answering his second question, so we'll go in and listen to his answers. And I'll tell you what he said in his first answer at the end of his press conference.
And is Brett at the level of Joe yet?
Well, I think their styles are quite different. I've been fortunate to be around really some great quarterbacks, Steve Young included, but as Brett and Joe are quite different in some ways. I think the thing that they have in common, and I've said this in comparing Brett with other great players that I know, is that they're so competitive and they'll do anything to win, and they have fun playing the game. Those are similarities. Other than that, they're really quite different players. You know, Brett's physically bigger, has a stronger arm. Joe was so smooth. Everything was very fluid and rhythmic. And Brett's a little different than that. But the bottom line is they're both MVP quarterbacks. They both led their team in Super Bowl wins. And I've just been the lucky recipient of being around both of them.
Mike, can you talk about what Robert Brooks' comeback has meant to the team and what's like that whole story of him coming back the way he has this season?
Well, I said that I was most happy this year for Robert Brooks, George Kuntz, and Seth Joyner on our football team, for people that really I'm very happy to get the opportunity to play in this game. Robert was such an important part of our building program and the success that we've experienced in the last 6 years. And then he was injured last year and really hurt his knee severely and was not able to play in last year's Super Bowl. So his rehab and his off season is well documented. He was able to play this year and play at a high level, and now he gets a chance to play in the game. So he's a very popular player on our team. He's one of those guys that when you talk about being a great football player, he's even a better person. And so you root for guys like that, and I'm happy for him. I mean, he's really, I'm very happy that he can play in this game this year.
What's in your reservations about putting him into the punt return thing, considering the injuries from last year, more exposure?
Well, both Freeman and Brooks, historically, we have not played our starters as our return men. When they did it, it was in their first and second year, in Freeman's case, a rookie year. Usually I like to, I can't hear. First helicopters, now jets. I mean, geez. Nothing's safe around here. There was some reluctance, but only because, you know, it's one more shot and it's kind of a punt return and kickoff return. They're kind of violent plays and crazy things happen. But they're both very, very good. They're the best we have at doing that. We're in the playoffs. It's sudden death. It's a Super Bowl, so go with your best guys. And both of them were very willing to do it. And in the last 2 games, they've done it very well. We've had a little bit of a boost in our return game, and that's what we needed.
Mike.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Emotionally and strategically on having Kuntz back in the lineup, and also strategically on having Brooks.
Well, Kuntz, I would talk about George the same way I would talk about Robert Brooks. George played the whole season for us last year and was injured, I believe, in the championship game. I believe it was the championship game. I don't think it was a week before. But at any rate, he had been our starting middle linebacker for the whole season. Obviously, he had a lot to do with the success we had, and then he was injured, couldn't play in the game. And so emotionally, and I feel very, very happy for him as well. That rehab from that type of injury is a 9-month grind. Strategically, he gives us a chance to put 4 linebackers on the field, 4 real fine linebackers on the field at once. He gives good leadership. His veteran attitude and play helps our younger players. Bernardo Harris has had a great year, but he's a young man, as is Brian Williams. And so it's nice to have George in there from that aspect.
Could you talk about some of the key elements from an organizational standpoint that allowed you and Ron Wolf and the Packers to build this team? What do you think the crucial decisions you guys might have made collectively?
Well, the very first decision that came up was on the quarterback. I remember Ron bringing me in. I've been there a couple weeks, and maybe a week, and he brings me into the draft, our big draft room, and we have all our names and everybody up there. And he goes, let's look at the quarterback position around the league. And our quarterbacks at the time, we had 3 free agents and an 8th-round draft pick playing quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. And that kind of jumps out at you. And they were fine guys and great young men, but I mean, that probably is not going to get it done for you. So the decision to trade for a quarterback, in this case Brett Favre, was something we talked about for a full week, back and forth. We were both familiar with Brett. we had the opportunity to do it. Now, keep in mind that was going to be a first-round pick, and when we first got there, my first year, we had, I believe it was 2 first-round picks. You know, that's a big decision. When you do that, you're pretty committed to that player, if you're willing to do that. And so when we pulled the trigger, when Ron pulled the trigger to do that, at the time it was not a particularly popular decision up in our neck of the woods, but it has proven to be the biggest decision we made early. And then, you know, during the course of our 6 years together now, you know, he gives me so much support, and he made it very clear earlier on he did not want to coach the football team. He just wanted to help me in any way he could, and he has done that. I mean, he does a marvelous job with the draft. He runs the organization, obviously, the football part of it. And he's at his best with me when we've lost a tough game. I mean, it's amazing. And he has a great ability to keep me going and pump me up. I don't think that's in the job description anywhere, but he does that, and I appreciate that. And we've always had the ability to talk to one another about anything regarding the football team and come to a consensus. You know, it's just the greatest working relationship I think I could imagine in this league, and it's worked for us.
One of the reasons cited for Sherman Lewis not getting a head coaching job is that he doesn't call the plays. He doesn't have a real role in the offense. Could you talk about what his responsibilities are in the offense and tell us how much he's involved in play calling and game planning, please?
Well, first of all, that is a lame reason. Anybody that uses that reason for not hiring a coach is really scrambling, in my opinion. You know, there are a lot of coaches that have been hired that haven't called the plays, where at some point in his career he has called the plays. So I don't buy that one too much. His role in what we do, he is the offensive coordinator. He conducts the offensive meetings. He speaks to the offensive team. In essence, he's the head coach of the offense, is what a coordinator does by definition. He plans practice. He is the one voice during the games that I want talking to me, although I'm hooked up with everyone else. Sherman and I talk to each other the whole game. And on occasion, as I mentioned yesterday, and I have mentioned before, that when I get a little upset during the game and I can't think straight, or I feel I'm losing it, I just tell him to take it, and then he'll call the game. And then if I want to hop back in there at some point, I do. But if things are going well, I'll just watch. It's more fun. It's relaxing for me. I said yesterday, and I hope, and he and I have talked about this, that I did not want to. The fact that I call the game, I like to call the game. It's fun for me. I will continue doing it as long as it's fun, and I think I'm doing a decent job. If I'm not, I'm going to have someone else do it. He certainly could do it. He certainly could do it and do a fine job doing it. But I just, as I said yesterday, I have to have some fun doing this stuff, you know, and I like doing that. So that is a weak excuse for not hiring, in my opinion, you know, the best man now available for any of these jobs that come up.
Last question. What is the reason?
Pardon me?
What is the reason that he hasn't been given the opportunity?
I have no idea. I already said he's the most qualified. He has a tremendous history of success. He is very good with people. He'd be very good with you people. The players like him, respect him. He's a disciplinarian. He's the perfect, in my opinion, the perfect candidate. But so I don't have a good answer for you.
Coach him until next week. Is that a factor?
That's definitely a factor. It was a factor last year. You know, the rules as they are right now in the National Football League, and they were set up because, if you remember, when Norv Turner and Dave Wanstead received jobs, really, before Dallas actually played the game, there is a good reason for that rule, in my opinion. I think but it hurts the candidates on the Super Bowl teams. It does. It eliminates some of their choices. But there is a good reason. So maybe we have to look at being a little more flexible with that rule. I don't know. But that has narrowed down some of his choices, and he understands that part of it. He really does. But, you know, obviously there is a certain amount of disappointment there, clearly.
What are your symptoms when you say when you're losing it? And well, you said when I feel like I'm losing it, I turn it over.
Losing it?
Yeah. What are your symptoms that you feel that you're losing it?
All right.
Mike Holmgren's having fun this week. He has the Super Bowl coach thing down pretty well, and he has had a lot of fun with the media. There's an airport nearby. We're in a flight pattern, and that's why a couple times interrupted by airplanes coming over. Real quickly, the first question he asked while we were in break was regarding his comments on Up Close with Chris Myers yesterday that he would like to be Mike Holmgren, GM and head coach if that situation ever approaches itself. They asked if Seattle's a possibility for that. Mike said there's no story there at all. He hasn't heard anything from them. But just to let you know what you missed there, that was the only question that Mike Holmgren answered that you didn't hear. Here's Brett Favre. Let's listen in.
Not to a point where I'm leveling off and then dropping off. I think it all depends. I personally feel like, you know, I still have things to prove and am rising in my career. But it all depends on your football team and who you have around you. And we do a great job of that. I'm surrounded by great players, and Ron and Mike make a great effort of re-signing guys and keeping that nucleus of players that's got us to where we are today. You know, a couple of years ago, I don't think I was much different as a quarterback, but we didn't have the players to do it. And now we're surrounded ourselves with great players. So I think I'm still rising, and as long as our team stays young and plays well, we're okay.
Brett, do you think that your career been helped by adversity? The fact that you're a second-round draft choice, the fact that you didn't do anything your rookie year and were traded away?
Well, I think so. Yeah, I think if when you kind of go through the ranks the hard way, it makes you appreciate like this today. It makes you appreciate it. Sometimes it's not the most exciting things in the world, but you appreciate them because I know how hard it was to get here and what I had to go through and what our team had to go through. And just like when I came out of high school, I was not a sought-after player and got a scholarship offer 2 days before the signing date and worked my way through Southern Miss and then worked my way through the NFL ranks. And it was never easy, and it still is not easy. And it makes you appreciate every little thing that you get and achieve.
Do you have to have a great quarterback to win a Super Bowl?
What's that?
Do you have to have a great quarterback to win a Super Bowl?
No, I don't think so. I think you win. I really believe that you win championships with defense. We've always heard that, but look at all the great teams who could put up 40 points, but also could give up 41. So we've won games where our defense is given up nothing, and we scored nothing, and we could win by a point. And we lost to Philly 10-9. And still had a chance to win at the end of the game. Our defense just dominated, and that was the case all year, you know. But then you go to Indianapolis and look offensively, we were dominating, and our defense gave up everything to Indianapolis. So I think when you got a really good quarterback who can make decisions and keep your team in it without killing you, and let your defense work and your running game do its job, you're fine. You know, your quarterback doesn't have to make every play. It helps, but I think you win with defense.
You said that you have to succeeded in any system, but could you imagine coming to a better system for a quarterback than what you did when you got Green Bay?
The system here fits me. You know, obviously I haven't been in every system, so it's hard to say, but I know that this system has definitely worked for me. It's enabled me to put up big numbers. The way we strike fits me more so than, say, the run and shoot would have fit into my scheme. The way Mike calls plays, he knows what I do best. He knows what my limitations are, and he calls plays accordingly. So I really believe this is the best system I could possibly be in. I was lucky.
Reports that Mike Holmgren might be sought after by the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine what this team might be like without him?
I haven't even thought about it. You know, and I hope that doesn't happen because we're very fortunate to have Mike and his play calling and the way he approaches the game. Sometimes we don't like it, but we realize it's the best way to do it. You know, we practiced yesterday, and Denver was off. We would rather be off too, but I think after the game, hopefully we will appreciate it. We know why he does the things that he does, and I can see why Seattle or another team would approach him. I haven't thought about it one bit. I hope it doesn't occur.
The three playoff games against the Cowboys, particularly the last one, how did that impact your development as a big game quarterback?
Well, you learn from big games. Whether you win them or you lose them, you learn that it's do or die. And your preparation during that week is different than it is in a regular season game. It's like last year when, and I told the media that yesterday, that after the game, if we would have lost last year in the Super Bowl, I would have really felt bad because I thought my preparation was not as good as it should have been because I let everything kind of overwhelm me. And I think in a game like Dallas, that was the case. It's like, oh, we relaxed, we got to the championship game. Whatever happens, great, at least we got here. And we kind of approached it that way. And I know I did personally. Now, I don't do that. So I think that's the biggest thing that you learn. I think the rest of our players should take from that the same way I did, and that, hey, make sure I do everything I possibly can for this week because there is no tomorrow. And Lord knows we had enough down there that would teach us for a long time.
On and off the field. Well, Mike,
we've had our struggles at times, and I don't think any different than any other player-coach relationship. The only difference being is he's the head coach, but it's his offense. He calls the plays, and he has more input than most head coaches do in the offense. So we've had to work closer together than most quarterback and head coaches have, and that's enabled us to become closer friends and work better together. And there was times where I'm sure he felt like, this guy, maybe we could put someone else in and be more effective. And that's why I thank him all the time that he was fair enough and called me into his office and said, you're struggling right now, but you're 22 years old, and this system is not easy. I've coached a lot of great players, and it was not easy on them. And to think that you're going to come in here and just be dominating right away is ridiculous. And that it built my confidence. And gradually I just felt like, hey, whatever I do on the field won't matter because he'll be there for me in the end.
you think his greatest virtue would be patience?
Yeah, I would think so. And at one time I tried him very much, and he was pulling his hair out, and it was driving him crazy, but it made me a better player. I think if he would have pulled me or something, my confidence would have went down, and I wouldn't learn from the bad things. You throw an interception, you learn from it. You do something good, you learn from it. And I think that's the greatest thing he's done for me was just let me play. And it's definitely worked for us.
Why was that?
I don't know if I was a late developer. In 6 years, I've accomplished, a lot of great things. And I feel pretty fortunate. Now, I came up, not in a passing system coming from college, and went to Atlanta and was in a run and shoot offense, so didn't really learn a lot about reading defenses and how to approach game plans. So I'm still learning. I can remember Ty Detmer told me that when he was in high school, they ran all kinds of passing drills. I mean, we ran into tackling dummies and we were doing monkey rolls and stuff like that with my dad. I didn't even know what passing was. We threw it 3 times a game, so I'm still learning. So in that aspect of it, I am still developing, but thankfully, I'm able to make plays when plays are not there, and that's enabled me to kind of learn and make plays along the way. And every day I look in the mirror and realize how fortunate I am to have accomplished the things I have in such a short period of time.
Shift and Reg, your Super Bowl so close to your hometown, a lot of pressure on you. Relaxing more this year away from there?
Well, I am. I don't have as many family members coming in, but it's still the Super Bowl, and there is a lot of things that go along with it. But I'm enjoy it because who knows if I'll ever be back here again, and it's a chance of a lifetime, and so much leads up into this game. I mean, training camp, mini camps, all that stuff, and sometimes you like I said earlier, you kind of get here and just, oh, thank God we're here. We still have to play a game Sunday, and I'm enjoying it just as much as I did last year, if not more, because I realize how difficult it is to get here.
Fair last year with the fact that you came in finally getting to the Super Bowl and winning, as opposed to this year when you came as world champions, and how competitively people played you this year?
Well, you know, we made a lot of excuses. It seemed like during the year that teams were playing us tougher now and things are not going to be easy, you know, and that was true, but it shouldn't be an excuse. We're the world champions. We should expect teams to play us like it's their Super Bowl every week. When we would go play Dallas or we would play San Francisco, we would talk in the locker room before the game that if we can win this ball game, we can make a statement and we can climb that ladder much quicker than we could by beating another team who's just average. So teams, I'm sure their coaches tell them when they play us, hey, you can make a statement here. And if you want to, you know, like Tampa, for instance, if they beat us in the playoffs, all of a sudden now they're thought of as one of the elite teams in the league. So that's what we faced every week when we went out and played. And I think that surprised us a little bit. And once the season progressed and we realized, hey, we're in for a dogfight, that we kind of played that way. We felt like we would go out this season like we did last year. In the first 3 games, we'd blow teams out because we were the world champions. It didn't happen, and it kind of surprised us. Now we're like, hey, every game we play is going to be a struggle. And then once you can kind of realize that and take that into account, you're okay. And you look at our second half of our season, we played much better.
Would you have been content with your career if you hadn't won a Super Bowl?
What's that?
Would you have been totally content with your career if you hadn't won a Super Bowl?
Well, you know, I'd have to be. You know, high school, I wanted to win a state championship. Didn't even come close, but I'm okay with it, you know. College, I wanted to be the national champions, but I played at Southern Miss, and we went to the Independence Bowl, but I'm okay with it, you know. My career here, I can only do so much, and I've enjoyed it so far. I hope I have a lot of years left, and I can only control so much, you know, and like a Jim Kelly or Dan Marino or John Elway, they've had great careers, you know, and they should never look back and say just because I didn't win a Super Bowl, you know, it was a waste, because it's not. And that's the way I feel. I'm very fortunate to have won a Super Bowl in a early stage of my career, but I've accomplished a lot of other things too that I'm pretty content with.
Mike's approach to the game, talking about how difficult this season was in terms of making that adjustment as a team. What is it about his approach to the game that pulled the team through?
Well, his approach this year was almost similar to last year. I think he was a little tougher in his approach, which I think he had to be. His rules were basically the same, but practices, usually 5th, 6th, 7th game into the season, we took the pads off, didn't practice in pads. Well, about the 10th game of the year, we were kind of wondering when we were going to take the pads off. And guys were grumbling and complaining. But now we look back at it and we realize that his approach was much better than some coaches probably would have approached a year after a Super Bowl, because you have to because you do get a little complacent. It's just human nature to say, hey, we're world champions and we can kind of coast and win. Well, that doesn't happen, and we found that out this year. And I think due to his approach, it kind of toughened us up a little bit. Just when we started feeling good about ourselves, he knocked you down a little bit and then picked you back up again, and then you appreciate it once it's over.
Brett, can you tell us about your health problems you had in college, how much that set you back, and do you think that cost you being a first rounder in the draft?
I don't know. I'm glad that things worked out the way they did now, but I hurt my hip in the East-West Shrine game, and I thought I would be a first-round pick, and then a couple of teams came in and took MRIs and stuff and said that I wouldn't pass a physical. So a lot of teams backed off, and then Todd Marinovich and Dan McGuire were drafted ahead of me, and I was the 33rd pick. And Ron was with the Jets, and they didn't have a first-round pick, but was trying to trade up, and thankfully things worked out the way they did, that I ended up in Green Bay via Atlanta. But I think a lot of people backed off because of my hip. And
what about when you had part of the intestine?
Well, part of the intestines, I don't know if that made any impact on anyone. I just I was a little lighter for a while. But, you know, injuries are part of it, whether they be football related or something else. And I have always had a knack for overcoming those injuries. And I thought after going into my senior year, after coming back from this, that teams would say, hey, if he can come back from this and that quickly and play as well as he did, we'll take a chance on him. But that wasn't the case.
Like improve in your career. What are some things? What did you mean by that? What are some things you still want to prove?
Well, it's pretty simple. I can improve in every aspect of my game. There's not one particular part of my game that I feel like I need to get better. I think all of them. You know, decision making can be better. Accuracy can be better. You see Steve Young now. He's as accurate as he's ever been. But I bet 7, 8 years ago he would tell you different. And that's the way I want to progress. Each aspect of my game, I want to be better. I think this year, I did a lot of things better than I did last year. Decision making was better. Leadership was better. I took more of a role of leading this team, and it made a difference. So each year, I just want to progressively get better in every aspect.
When you beat Florida State and had the great game in Jacksonville, where did that play into you raising your horizons or realizing what you could do?
Well, I didn't think going into that Florida State game we could win it. I really didn't. But we did. And that convinced me that we could beat anyone. And then we went on, we beat Alabama, and we beat Auburn. And the same thing here in Green Bay. We would go into Dallas, and I didn't think we could win the ball game. Well, it's same team, personal. It's the same thing. I look at it as the same. I didn't personally think we could beat Florida State. I know our team didn't. But when we left that game, we said, hey, we're pretty good, and we can beat anyone. And it's the same thing here in Green Bay. There was times where I would walk on the field and say, I just don't think we can win. And you just kind of revert back to years before, and you say, hey, anything can happen, because it's happened to us. We've been beaten by teams that we shouldn't have lost to. So individually, team, it's all the same.
The comments of Brett Favre to the media and the guy who he throws the ball to, Mark Chmura, sitting here with us live. It was funny watching SportsCenter last night in an interview that you taped. I thought it was a great answer when you said that Brett needs to have a baseball bat smacked across his finger so he knows what one of those fastballs feel like coming to him.
He definitely does. He enjoys it. You know, the worst thing is when you're doing individual drills with him and he looks over his coach and says, well, watch this. And you can just see that arm's going from his ankles and letting it fly. Yeah, I'm going to definitely get him back when my career is over.
Do you guys feel, I don't want to say bad, but there's a party going on here for this Super Bowl week, like every Super Bowl week, and it's because of you guys. You're the reason everybody comes to the party, but you can't really take part in the party. Is that frustrating when you guys have curfews and can't go out and experience everything that everybody's talking about the whole week?
Yeah, it's tough, you know, but that's the way we do things here. We're doing the exact same thing we did in New Orleans as far as curfew, practice time, meetings and all that, and it's a good thing. You know, we can, early on in the week, we can go out and enjoy ourselves a little bit. But as you get closer to the game, I mean, the nerves really start to kick in. You don't want to do anything. You just want to sit in your hotel room and get ready for the game.
Hey, guys talk about that all the time, and we know you guys practiced yesterday and have been practicing every day. When you have the game plan already installed, and you know this offense so well, obviously, over the years, how much do you sit in your room and go back over whether it's individual tape on the Broncos defensively or just the actual physical game plan and going back over stuff in your mind at night, on, like, let's say tonight, for example?
It's really watching a lot of film. I mean, the game plan's been in for a couple weeks. You really just look at individual matchups. You know, is there any tendencies the player across from you has where you can pick something up that might help you in the game?
You'll go back and forth with the clicker there to try to find is he pointing something out where he lines up?
I really tell my coach, I say, because he's going to look at pretty much all their games the whole season long, and I just tell him, if you see something that you think's going to help me, put it on a separate tape. I mean, the technology in football today is unbelievable. They got all the computers to do all these certain things. So I might be looking at a game from a preseason game. If I think it'll help me, then I'll use it.
You'd be watching that cut down of that guy.
Sure, yeah.
What was the worst question you were asked yesterday? Well, you were the one who was asked if it helps having a tight end to be a tight end,
yeah,
right?
that was some of them Comedy Central guys are crazy.
Rocket scientists.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, Mike.
Good luck.
Good to see you. Thanks.
Mark Chmura. We'll hear from more of the Packers as we continue here from the Sheraton Grand at Torrey Pines in just a minute.
I'm just excited.
He's a charmer.
My nostrils quiver at your pungent aroma.
A ladies' man.
Oh, my.
Here's a toast to W.C. Fields on his birthday.
We think you're the softest hard-boiled egg in the world.
Cable is celebrating Thursday, January 29th with a day's worth of his most hilarious movies and the premiere of AMC's W.C. Fields biography. It's why more people are watching.
On Cablevision.
Hey, you guys, ever wonder about the way things work? Then you just gotta check out Pop's Side. You'll see the newest and absolutely coolest gizmos, gadgets, and other thingamajigs. You won't believe it's actually science. It's high-tech, it's fun, it's Pop's Side on Discovery Kids.
The best place to be to explore your world. It's why more smart kids are watching.
On Cablevision.
So, Netboy, this ESPN Gamecast thing is really cool. How's it work?
Well, Mr. Bodine, you just point and click and you get live game data presented in a graphical interface. What I do is I take real-time stats event data, FTP it via TCP/IP, parse using proprietary ESPN software, and I push it on the net to Java-enabled browsers. Okay.
Welcome back to our ESPN News and ESPN2 simulcast of continuing coverage of Super Bowl 32. Green Bay Packers are meeting the media. You heard the references to Mike Holmgren and the Seattle situation. We're going to clarify that. I just spoke to John Clayton. He can give us some information regarding that. We'll do that in a few minutes and explain that whole scenario to you. Right now, we're going to listen to Reggie White, who's at one of the podiums being interviewed by the media. And here is the Minister of Defense.
I didn't know much about Dick when I was younger. I knew more about him when as I grew older, and as I became a player, beginning to respect him even more by the way that he played and the things that he did in this game.
Pioneer of sorts.
Sure.
Reggie, getting back to a thing like the church and people asking Bill Romanowski about some of the stuff he did, people talking about Sherm Lewis, will he get interviewed? Is this a week where people now will focus on those kind of issues because it can become a forum for those kind of issues?
There's a difference between focusing on the issues and doing something about it, you know. Yeah, we could talk about it. I mean, it's a good story for you guys, you know, to talk about and to write about. The church burning was a great story for the media, you know, at the height of how many churches had been burned down. In the beginning, when these churches were being burned down and no one knew about it, it wasn't a story at all until about 100 churches had burned down. That's a story. But when 2 or 3 burned down, that's not a national story.
Talking about it isn't really
and talking about it's not going to do nothing. You know, you can give your opinion. You can share your frustrations. You can talk about what people didn't do. And right now it's not doing anything because the church members and the ministers are suffering extremely, you know, right now because of, you know, all the things that I thought was not done right. You got the organizations that came about to raise money, and the money didn't get to the churches, you know. So, I mean, that was a big fear of mine.
Have federal authorities ever discussed with you or counseled with you about what you think should be done?
Well, they came to me when I started talking, yeah. You know, they wanted me to shut up, but I'm not going to shut up. You know, I wasn't going to let them shut me down, you know, about that. But, you know, like I said, I mean, the attention didn't come to the churches until I was burned down. Just put it that way. And that's sad. Sure.
That's all they talked to you about?
Well, they were trying to explain their side. And they were saying it in a nice way.
The toughest test you faced defensively this year, do you think?
That'll be one of the toughest, yes.
You've got the running game
Yes.
in LA and everything right now. Do you think that that they can score points against you guys?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can.
Have your views of this country and the race problem in this country, how have they evolved in the last few years?
Well, I've heard black and white people say we made progress, and we got to understand one thing about race. When you look at race, we're not talking about Hispanics against Koreans or Asians, Koreans against Jews. We're talking about blacks and whites. That's what a race problem is. And you know, when you look at the history of the Jews, they've had caused problems over thousands of years. And they've dealt with their problems over thousands of years. It's taken thousands of years for them to get over their problems. We think that after 30 years, we've gotten over our problems. You know, after 200 years, we've gotten over our problems. We got these race commissions and people who are talking about how we can relate to race. if we want to deal with the race issues, we got to go back to where the problem started, and that was 200 years ago. And you know, we're not going to get over these problems in 100 or 200 years. It's going to take thousands of years for us to get over these problems.
If you had your authority, if the federal authorities asked you, what do you think should be done about this church thing, what would your plan be?
Well, first of all, I would have advised them not to immediately put more agents on the case because they were putting more white agents on the case, and some of these agents who had been investigated for going to good old boy rallies were reassigned to other cases. That's one of the things I would have did. Secondly, I would have did what HUD did. I would have got the low interest loans situated, and thirdly, I would have really looked into how much pressure the investigators were putting on the leaders and some of the things that they were doing. These guys were pulling children out of school, you know, asking them questions about, you know, their parents and stuff like that. And, you know, we had 11 of our workers that had to take lie detector tests, you know, and even after they took lie detector tests, one of the federal authorities took one of our pastors and told him to go ahead and admit that he did it. And so there was a lot of things like that that was really discouraging.
Sherm Lewis couldn't get interviewed for any of 11 openings last year. Is that a reflection of the fact that we haven't come as far as maybe some people think we have in race relations?
I think it is. I think it goes across the line. I think white people feel more comfortable with white people. And I think black people can feel extremely comfortable with white people because we've been immune to this system. You know, to be honest with you, in many ways, it's almost like we're black people trapped in the white people trapped in the black body because we've had an education in the system, and that system has only taught us to think how white people think. You know, our history is not being brought before us. I mean, we have Black History Month in February, which is the shortest month of the year. You know, so black history should be a part of American history. I think white people should know about black people too. You know, I think it should be a part of our history because we had more to do with building this country than anybody through our free labor. And I think the reason that a lot of black people are shouting is that when it comes to economics, it's not equal. You know, and some people say, well, you athletes got a chance to compete. Well, that's only a few of us. You know, there's only probably about 600 of us. Or in all professional sports, a little bit over 1,200 of us. So that's not enough. And, you know, we have to allow people to compete economically. And when you look at history, if you look from the history of the beginning of this country, every 30 years there were laws that was made to make sure that blacks weren't able to compete economically. So I think the race issue don't go across the lines of black and white. I think the race issue go across the line of green.
Well, Reggie White, who is without peer when it comes to sacks in NFL history, is also probably among athletes in the 90s without peer in terms of being a social spokesman. He's very outspoken and has opinions on many issues, and not one word there of Denver or Broncos in that conversation. Let me just take 1 minute here to clear up. Mike Shanahan answered a question put to him about Seattle having possible interest in him, and that question was put to Brett Favre. Let me just go back here for a second, retrace the steps. Mike Holmgren, at the beginning of the year, said the only situation that would appeal to him away from Green Bay is one where he has the opportunity to be a head coach and a general manager, the combination of that role. He reiterated that with Chris Myers on Up Close, which was on last night on ESPN, said that that's the next challenge for him, and that's why he has that interest. It's not an immediate interest, and Holmgren went out of his way to make sure he made clear that his job as head coach of the Green Bay Packers is the best head coach-only job in the National Football League. Now, having said all of that, Seattle, which of course has Dennis Erickson, but made an unsuccessful effort to get Tom Donahoe, the player personnel director of the Pittsburgh Steelers, to run their football organization. They're still looking for a man to run their football organization. In Seattle, Bob Whitsitt, the president of the team, John Clayton spoke with him last night, and Whitsitt said he doesn't think the Seahawks are going to go down that road of having one man as the coach and the general manager. That's not in their plans as of right now, but anything's possible. So that's why Seattle, it's the only scenario that would fit a circumstance like that, and that's why this has come up. Don't mistake this to be a big story. Mike Golick, talking more about the Super Bowl, standing by with Seth Joyner.
All right, thanks, Mike. Seth, it's been a long road, 12 years. 8 in Philly, and you go to Arizona for 3, and now you finally have traveled the road and end up where you wanted to all along, to the Super Bowl. How's it feel?
Oh, you know, it's a great feeling just to be in this position. So many years of wanting to be here, so many years for, working hard to get here, to actually be here, it's just a wonderful feeling.
You know, they asked us about all the old players, and you're one of them. When you get up there in years, if you do get the Super Bowl title, I asked this about Reggie. What does it hold? I mean, will that be the pinnacle? You've made Pro Bowls. You were considered one of the top linebackers. Now, if you get this final jewel, do you want to keep going?
Oh, I think a lot of people look at it as, it's the, crowning moment, for my career. I look at it as a situation where I've set a bunch of goals and I have some dreams. Most of them I've been able to accomplish with, this has been the most elusive one. And with the Super Bowl win, obviously, it completes my goal sheet. But, I still feel great, and I still got a tremendous love for the game. So I think I'll continue to play after this year.
Now, in trying to stop the Broncos, it used to be, hey, if you stop John Elway, that was the head of the snake, the body died. Now Terrell Davis makes him really a two-headed snake. Which is more important to stop or slow down?
Well, obviously, their offense is a heck of a lot more efficient now that they have a running game, because now their playbook is expanded. When you're able to run the ball on first and second down effectively, it brings into play-to-play action, really opens up their playbook, and it makes John's job a lot easier. Basically, they lived and died on his arm, and we've seen a lot of quarterbacks come through the league having to have to do that. And they meet, some great personal successes, but the team really doesn't do extremely well. Knowing that their running game is really the key to their offense, it's going to be the same old Sunday all over again. It's going to be quite a bit more intense, but at the same time, we've got to shut down their running game and put them in obvious passing situations, no doubt.
All right, since we were old teammates, we do split, you're taking, right?
Look me up in the offseason, we'll discuss it.
All right, Seth, good luck. Mike, back to you.
Thanks, Mike. Former Philadelphia Eagle, then Arizona Cardinal, and now Green Bay Packers Seth Joyner. This time last year when the Packers were getting ready for the Super Bowl, Ross Verba was getting ready for the scouting combines. He's a rookie out of Iowa, their first-round draft pick. Been a big impact on their offensive line, and he's visiting with Sal Paolantonio.
Absolutely big impact. Ross Verba started 11 games, first season. What's it like being here with this crush of media getting ready for the biggest game of your life?
Well, yeah, it really is the biggest game of my life, and I mean, it's overwhelming to see a couple thousand media, but they got to do their job too. But I mean, it's sweet, and you're realizing you're at the big game.
Size advantage for you guys on the offensive line. You came out against San Francisco in the title game, trying to control the line of scrimmage. You do that against Denver?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to make any predictions, but I know we're going to go out there, all five of us, and play hard, smash mouth football, and we're going to go there for 60 minutes.
It really wasn't smash mouth. I mean, 5 passes in the first 5 plays against San Francisco. Right. How do you handle Brett moving around in the pocket? He likes to move around. How do you protect him that way?
Well, usually after the huddle, if he keeps doing that, we'll smack him upside the head a few times. So he'll quit doing that. But no, I mean, he is so elusive at times that kind of you're not really sure where he's at. But he gets the ball thrown, at the right time.
Good luck in the game.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sal.
Mike?
Verba a little cocky for a rookie. We smack him around. Yes, sure that doesn't happen. We'll continue with more of Packers meeting the media on this Wednesday in just a little bit. After his press conference, Brett Favre picking up the Foot Action 1997 NFL Quarterback of the Year award. We'd like to hold another piece of hardware this week.
Mothers, they love to hear from their children. And suddenly they're getting their wish. In fact, they're getting more calls every Sunday than they do on Mother's Day itself. Why is that? MCI 5-cent Sundays. 5 cents a minute, every Sunday. Along with low rates all week long. Call 1-800-SUNDAYS to become an MCI customer. Your mom will like that.
Planner's nuts! Deluxe makes nuts. Actually, Coochie, perhaps we shouldn't. We have to watch what we eat. All this good stuff and no cholesterol? I got the cashews, Coochie.
Fresh roasted taste, naturally delicious. Planters, relax, go nuts.
I have a lot of fun playing characters that are impulsive and dramatic. Because the real me is pretty basic. I'm even a little practical. Like a while back, I noticed I had some flakes. So naturally, I started using Head & Shoulders. Of course, it helps keep the flakes away. And if it leaves my hair looking like this, why mess with a good thing?
Head & Shoulders changes dandruff problems
Into beautiful hair.
In a city where crime ruled, 3 legends went to war. Your move? Lawrence Fishburne, Tim Roth, Vanessa Williams, and Andy Garcia. You've been warned. Hoodlum.
A good sweat isn't so good once the game is over. That's why there's Irish Spring Sport. It has an extra antibacterial ingredient that kills odor-causing germs better than regular soap. It's Irish Spring Sport. Play as hard as you like.
Green Bay Packers have their practice later today. They'll do this meeting with the media, all the players tomorrow. It's the last time you'll hear from the players. Let's continue listening into their comments and listen in with running back Dorsey Levens.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I definitely. I wouldn't mind being down there. But those guys like the attention. I bet they would love being up here right now.
I just talked to them all. It was very easy. There was no one there.
That makes no sense. To go bring them all up here. I can go down there. We can trade seats.
Put him on the hot seat?
Yeah.
They'd love to go to Hawaii, too.
They should be going. You got it. Yeah.
You always been a running back?
For the most part. I played quarterback a couple of years in Pop Warner, but I was terrible.
You know, running back, all he does is get hit. What is there that you enjoy? I mean, besides the obvious yardage.
Every time you get the ball, it's a challenge. And every time you get the ball, you have to make the other guy miss. You know, no matter how you do it, whether it be running them over, juking them, spinning off them, every single time you get the ball, it's like starting from scratch again.
Do you get better with experience and learning how to get away from these guys?
Yeah, I think I've become more elusive, you know, later on in the season. And early on in the season, it was just like run. You know, if you run smack dab into a guy, then so be it. You know, but now I think I've become a smarter runner, and that I've learned not to take on the brunt of the hits.
After the Tampa game, you said that even though you get tired naturally in the late part of the game, you feel you run better then. You maybe see more, or
no, it's just that
the other team.
I just get. I mean, that's basically the truth. I just get tired, and I'm not taking off as fast. Right. And I don't think that's a bad thing because I have time to read my holes a little better.
Some of the comments of Dorsey Levens, of course, with the injury to Edgar Bennett, it's all been on Levens' shoulders, and he's exceeded expectations in a free agent year as well. So all has come together quite well for Dorsey Levens. He hopes that run will last 5 more days through Super Bowl Sunday. Robert Brooks, not a part of the Super Bowl last year because of his injury, the major knee surgery, but back and successful and over 1,000 yards this year. He visits now with Sal Paolantonio.
All right, thanks, Mike. All right, Robert, another Super Bowl week. How do they compare?
Basically the same. You know, I think this time around we're in a different city, you know, which is San Diego is a lot different city from New Orleans, you know. So just adjusting to the cities, you know, it's basically the same. You know, you got media day and all the stuff, the hype and the hoopla that surrounds the Super Bowl. And then, you know, when game time comes around, you just got to be ready to play.
You know, and you look at this game, you look at the matchup, a lot of people say, yeah, the Packers are going to roll again. You know, Denver not big enough, not strong enough. Is that the plan of the offense to try and use its weight advantage, pound on this team and wear them down?
Well, I think a lot of people are underestimating Denver, for one thing. You know, they did some things that no other team's been able to do. They went on the road and beat Kansas City and Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh. And so those are some things that teams haven't been able to do. So we got a very formidable opponent. So for people to say that we're just going to roll, I mean, I don't think that'll be the situation. I think it's going to be a good game. I think the team that makes the most plays and is most physical is going to win the football game.
It's talked about by other teams how Brett Favre comes out excited, the adrenaline's flowing, and sometimes early mistakes. Is that talked about on your team, and does Brett even acknowledge that?
I think Brett acknowledges it. He knows it, and the fact that he's excited. Brett wants to win, you know, and he wants to do anything he can to help his team win. I think when he does come out excited, you know, you'll see, boom, a couple plays, and then after that he settles down, and once he gets into his groove, you know, he's kind of unstoppable.
You just kind of say, hey, Brett, hit me with a hitch right off the bat and calm down, huh?
Exactly.
Good luck, man.
Thanks.
Mike, back to you.
Thank you, Mike, and my apologies. Obviously, Mike Golick, not Sal Paolantonio, interviewing Robert Brooks. Both he and Antonio Freeman over 1,000 yards receiving this year as the Packers pass the ball as well as they have in the past, and they hope to continue that this weekend. This media get-together continuing, and we'll come back and hear from a few more Packers and wrap up our coverage right after this.
Once a year, and only once a year, the Men's Warehouse has a sale, and this is it. Save an additional 20 to 40% off the Men's Warehouse everyday low prices. Save on a wide variety of selected suits, sport coats, slacks, shirts, ties, and shoes. Save on a giant assortment of single and double-breasted suits and sport coats. It takes a Men's Warehouse sale to beat a Men's Warehouse price. I guarantee it.
Fine food, good friends, fun times. There's room for everyone at Sweet Nine Lounge.
I don't have much time.
Okay, say flight from prosecution.
On February 6th, international action star Chow Yun-fat is coming to America to do what he does best.
I'll need guns.
From executive producer John Woo, Chow Yun-fat, Academy Award winner Mira Sorvino. The Replacement Killers, directed by Antoine Fuqua. Rated R. Opens February 6th.
And welcome back to the Sheraton Grand. Torrey Pines here in La Jolla, California. Our continuing coverage of the Green Bay Packers meeting with the media. Well, the Packers are trying to follow in the footsteps of the 49ers, then the Dallas Cowboys, and have another successful run for a dominant NFC team. Of course, Emmitt Smith, such a big part of the Dallas success. There's an Emmitt Smith connection to this game. Who is it? Sal Palantonio has the answer. Sal?
Okay, we're standing by with Emmitt Smith's little brother, Emery. You just joined the Packers 3 weeks ago, and now you're on a ride to the Super Bowl. Full expenses paid. Not bad.
Not bad at all. It's a great opportunity for me. I'm having a good time and enjoying my stay here in San Diego.
Tell us what you've been doing.
You know, just going to the zoo, just hanging out, basically looking at the city of San Diego, enjoying the view over the nice Torrey Pine golf course and things like that, having a good time.
Much of a golfer?
Not much. I play every once in a while. Every chance I get out there and play.
How much has your brother told you about the Super Bowl experience?
Well, you know, he didn't tell me anything. He wanted me to experience it for myself, and that's what he's led me doing. Let me come out here and having a good time. I'm actually having a pretty good time. This is a lot of media. I've never seen this many media before, and all the attention, all the hype it's fun.
You must get tired of saying Emmitt Smith's little brother. Don't you get tired of that?
You know, I don't get tired of it, but it's going to be there. It's not a problem that I can't handle. So, you know, growing up all my life, you know, I've been his younger brother, and I don't mind being his younger brother. He's a great person, and you know, but hopefully one day I can make a name for myself, and that's what I'm trying to do here in Green Bay.
How many years do you think your brother's got left?
Really don't know as many years as he has left. I mean, he has the love for the game, and how many other years he wants to. You know, I'm pushing by his side all the way.
I'm sure he wants to get back to another Super Bowl.
Oh, most definitely. You know, this was such a disappointing season for them this year, and he's really hurt by the way the season ended. But I know him next year. You know, coming in this offseason, he's going to work hard and he's going to try to get the team the best back to the top.
Good luck, Emery, in your career.
Thank you.
Let's go back to Mike Tirico.
Sal, thanks. Emery Smith, one of the 5 players on the Packers practice squad. Another guy who you might know or recognize if you're a college football fan on that list, Kyle Wahos, the former quarterback at USC, who is now a wide receiver, has been converted over by the Green Bay Packers. For those of you on ESPN2, we're going to be leaving you with a reminder that same time, so the Broncos and the Packers, their media conferences tomorrow. Last time the players meet with the media, we'll have them simulcast from ESPN News on to ESPN2. So we'll see you for that. And, of course, SportsCenter coverage continues throughout the week. And tomorrow night, Super Bowl Live starts with 3 nights of coverage from the NFL Experience. For those of you watching on the Deuce, stay tuned. The last day of the Winter X Games with Chris McHenry and Chris Fowler is coming up next. Enjoy that, and so long from San Diego.
I'm sure if it ever happened.
From the worldwide leader in sports, this is the ESPN News Network.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to the ESPN News Network. My name is Chuck Garfien. Yesterday was Media Day for Super Bowl 32 in San Diego. Today, not exactly Media Day, but still plenty of talking going on. Now they're in La Jolla, California. Mike Tirico is there for all the press conference information you all need. Take it away, Mike.
Chuck, thanks. Good morning. Our continuing live coverage, and we welcome those of you on the Deuce here at the Hyatt Regency La Jolla. About an hour with the Broncos. Their head coach, Mike Shanahan, has begun to address the media, so let's listen in.
Some more practice again. We always have a gimmick player, too. We always have a play that maybe a flea flicker or halfback pass. That's always in our game plan, and just in case maybe a defense doesn't respect our halfback getting out wide, and if everybody's pursuing and there's nobody staying deep, we always have that part of our arsenal. But we do that week in, week out.